enjoy our presentation today. So we are going to learn about easy steps to creating a story. And the first one is getting inspirations for writing. So does anyone want to tell me what are inspirations for writing? Well, an inspiration for writing is something that you can get an idea from. So step number one is observe. So when you're observing, it's kind of like if I pick something up, and this is what I'm doing. I'm observing it. I'm looking it all over very carefully, every aspect, every part of it. So that would be observing. When we look around and notice the things going on, we're observing. And to observe means to see or notice something, especially while watching carefully. So how do you think observing could give you ideas for a story? I'm sorry?
He said, say louder.
Look at the pictures and read the book.
You could look at the pictures of a book, very good. You could look at it very carefully. You could notice what's going on in the picture. So observing can help us get ideas from simple things they've noticed or we've noticed. Who would like to tell me about something they've observed today?
Something you observed today. Shauna?
I observed my teacher's math lesson.
You observed your teacher's math lesson, very good. And so what did you observe about the math lesson?
We were learning about graphs. I observed how she made the graph, how she made it, the line graph or something like that.
Oh, okay, so
But
graphs.
yeah,
Learning about graphs, yeah, that would be something good to observe. Great, so you could get a story idea, maybe from something you've observed, from the person sitting next to you, from something you've learned in math class, and those can all turn into stories. Who else would like to tell me something they've observed today?
Mike?
I observed my homework,
You observed your... Okay, great. Now, another thing you can do is observe the person sitting next to you. So, turn to the person sitting next to you and give them a good look over. And tell me what is one thing you observed about them by looking at them really carefully.
Jacob?
Yeah,
I'm sorry?
Smiling.
Smiling. Very good. You notice an expression like smiling or frowning.
Today?
Laughing.
Laughing. That's even better. So the person next to you is laughing. Great. Who else would like to tell me about the person sitting next to them?
Look it up. They look depressed?
Oh, I'm very sad to hear that. Well, maybe even if the person next to you looks kind of sad, maybe a little depressed, yeah. So you can notice all those things. Let's get one more. What is the person sitting next to you? What do you observe about them?
See?
Acting funny.
You got something now.
Acting funny.
They're very funny. Was that what you said?
Yes.
Okay, great. So, learning something or observing something about the person sitting next to you, about walking down the street, about what you learned in class, your homework, these are all things that you can turn into good ideas for stories. So, for instance, if the person sitting next to you maybe looks kind of sad, then you could write a story about somebody looking kind of sad, but nobody knowing really why. So one person tries to guess and goes on a little journey or something like that. Ask questions. So have any of you ever heard the saying, curiosity killed the cat? Raise your hand if you've heard that saying. I see some raised hands. Okay, great. It's kind of an old saying, so it's not said a whole lot because it's okay to ask questions. In fact, it's great. We're not cats, right? When you ask questions, you're learning new things and getting new ideas. So one type of question that can be kind of fun to ask for a story are questions like, what if dinosaurs came back to life? Or scientists invented a giant tomato? Or dogs could talk? So let's think of a few what if questions of our own that we could turn into stories. What if blank happened? So, what is your what if question?
Who do you think of a what if question? Paul? could fly?
What if you could fly? Very nice. Okay. What else?
Shauna?
What if in the future we were able to have superhuman powers?
Have superhuman powers. Why the future? Why not now? Okay. Have superhuman powers. What else?
Mike?
What if the cartoon that in the TV come
Come to life? That's good. Cartoons come to life.
Something.
Alright. Let's do one more.
What if cats take dogs?
Cats chase dogs instead of the other way around. Okay, great. Cats chase
Oh.
dogs. Okay, very good. So it looks like we have quite a few what if questions now. We have what if you could fly? That would be cool. What if you could have superhuman powers? What if cartoons could come to life? Or cats chase dogs instead of dogs chasing cats? So, great job. Thank you very much. Now, what if questions can give us great ideas for writing stories? Oh, sorry. So you can take a look at a what if question and think, how can I turn that into a story? Another thing is that when you ask questions, you're in good company, because the reason we have so many cool medicines and inventions is because somebody asked, what if there were something that could light up the whole house without having to use candles? And here we have a light bulb. So asking questions can lead to great things, like good stories. Read. Raise your hand if you like to read. I see some raised hands. There's a holdout in the front, I see. Okay, yes, thank you. So it looks like pretty much all of us like to read. Now, reading can give us great stories for ideas for stories. So who would like to tell me a book that you have read recently?
Come on.
Alexis? Goosebumps?
Oh, Goosebumps. Okay. So now here's an activity which I call a book I read translates into a new story. So how could looking at Goosebumps, for instance, what did you like about Goosebumps?
She said because they're scary.
Because it was scary. So, does anyone have an idea for a scary story that you might be able to write?
It's a scary story you can write, Alicia. When goosebumps pop up on your body.
Okay, when goosebumps pop up on your body. Okay. So if you could take something, like for instance, if there's a story that you like because it's scary, then you could write a scary story of your own. Or if there's a story that you like because all the characters are animals, then you could write a story that has all the characters as animals. So think of one thing that you like from the story and turn it into your own idea. Okay, what is another story someone has read recently?
Angel?
A to Z mysteries.
A to Z mysteries.
A and C mysteries?
A to Z.
A to Z.
Oh,
mystery.
Letter A to the letter Z.
Yes, now, I will mishear things over video conferencing really badly. Like one time, I think somebody said something about they got tired, and I heard that as their house was on fire. So yeah, it's not very reliable. Okay, so how can you get a new story idea from A to Z Mysteries? What did you like about A to Z Mysteries?
I like when we catch the bad guys at the
When they catch the bad guys.
Okay, great. So, how can you maybe write your own story idea? Have your own story idea where they catch the bad guys?
you write your own story about catching bad guys?
So one day, the guy and the bad guy.
The guy turned into a bad guy?
I'm sorry? What did you say?
Say it again. Say it again now.
Maybe at the beginning, the good guy turns into a bad guy at the end.
Interesting. Maybe a good character could turn into a bad guy, and maybe then we get caught. So you could have your whole little plot here. So you start out with a good character, then the good character becomes a bad guy, and then the bad guy gets caught. Yeah, that would be fun. All right, what is one more story that you would like to write down?
Rachel.
It's Animorphs.
I'm sorry.
Animorphs.
Several at the same time.
Animorphs.
Oh, Animorphs. Okay. So what did you like about Animorphs?
What do you like about it, Rachel?
When they can shapeshift to animals.
The people turn into animals? Okay.
Yeah.
What's your chair, Adrian?
Yeah, right.
So how could you maybe write your own, how could you get your own story idea from Animorphs?
Going back to when we're dinosaurs are.
You could, I'm sorry?
There you go.
Go back to when we're dinosaurs was alive.
Go back to when dinosaurs were alive? Okay, that sounds like a fun one. Alright, so here are some notes that we wrote down. For Goosebumps, you could maybe write a story about Goosebumps popping up all over you from A to Z mysteries. We could think of a story where the good character turns into a bad guy and then gets caught. Or the Animorphs, we could have an idea to go back to the time when dinosaurs were alive. So you can get all kinds of good ideas from books. And it doesn't just have to be looking at a book and one thing you like, but you could look at a book's illustrations. And what do those illustrations make you think of? Something like that could be pretty fun. So those are all some great ideas. Travel. Raise your hand if you have ever gone on vacation. I see a lot of raised hands. Great. Who would like to talk about one of their most favorite vacations?
On the beach.
You went to the beach? Okay, so what did you do on the beach?
What did you say?
I say go to.
Swim with dolphins? Swim with dolphins?
Oh, swim with dolphins. Yes, sorry, I tuned out for a second. So swimming with dolphins, very good. So you could maybe write a story or even a poem about swimming with dolphins. That would be something fun. Now I want to ask kind of a more interesting question. What was a time your vacation did not go as planned?
Kelly?
I thought I was going to close it. He was kind of crazy and like.
He went to visit his cousin, but his cousin wasn't any fun.
Oh, okay. Going to visit cousin, but cousin wasn't very fun. You know what? Yeah, that happens sometimes. One time, I visited my cousin, and my cousin is very nice. And this was when I went to New Hampshire. But anyway, there was this thing, the money game, which is basically handing a piece of money back and forth, nothing else. Anyway, he was just very obsessed with that game, so I had to play it all the time. Yeah, that was not very fun. So I have had that experience. But what was another time your vacation did not go as planned?
Yeah?
Because when I go with my mom's friend, was Tiffany Sausage, she and her kids always be being mean to each other.
So you went to visit your mom's friend, but all the kids are being mean to each other?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. And what is another time your vacation didn't go as planned?
Take a vacation, not just going to your mom's friend. Vacation.
When I went to Atlanta and we had to take planes, we had to take our plane back because the flight it something blocked it and we had to come back to New Jersey. I hated it.
Okay. So going to Atlanta, plane not being able to land, getting sent back. Yeah, I actually heard, now that does sound pretty awful, but I heard a story yesterday on the news about this plane that was supposed to fly from Los Angeles to New York City. And instead, since the weather in New York City was bad, then I think that they circled around New York City's airport for 2 hours. They were just circling around. And then they got diverted to some airport in Virginia because they were worried about running out of fuel. And in this airport in Virginia, about 20 people got off. But they said, oh, we're going to taxi and then we're going to take off. But they had to stay for hours on the ground, just stuck, not going anywhere. And they had started to ration out the chips and water. Yeah, it was that bad. They were on the plane for a total of 16 hours. So that would definitely be an interesting story to write about, huh? Now, the cool thing about all of these is that times your vacation didn't go as planned can actually be really fun ideas for stories, because what stories need is something bad happening or people arguing them to make it exciting so that you don't know what's going to happen next. So these would all be exciting examples that you could watch. So what is on TV, in newspapers, and on the radio? Any ideas?
Nate? Cartoons?
Not quite. Do you see cartoons on the radio?
TV.
She did want something on all three.
Oh.
On all three.
Music?
Music?
Well, let's see. It's also a little hard. I think it's a little hard for music to come across in the newspaper. I'll give you a hint. This word is in one of these words.
The news.
The news. Very good. Something that's on TV, in newspapers, and on the radio is the news. And one hint is that newspapers, that's the one which the word is in. So I love watching the news. Every day I watch about 3 different channels on TV. I don't watch them like one after the other. I just switch between them. I listen to news radio in the kitchen, and I watch the news online on my computer. So you could kind of call me a news junkie. Now, when I use inspirations in watching the news, I get ideas in doing something I love. So, for instance, that story about the plane being stuck for 16 hours and all the passengers having to stay on that flight, that would be an interesting story to write about. Who would like to tell me about something that's happened in the news recently and how you could write about it?
Jacob?
I think so. I'm
sorry?
What we say?
Turn it up there.
jumped in front of a train and got hit.
Oh my goodness. So that would be a sad story. So 2 teenage girls jumped in front of a train and got hit. Yeah, that would be a very, very sad story. So what is another thing that has happened recently in the news?
Dion?
Haiti got hit by another earthquake, like 2 earthquakes.
Yeah, Haiti had an earthquake, and then Chile also had an earthquake. So that was unfortunate. And yeah, so definitely earthquakes just all around. Who else? What more besides you heard about from the news?
They give information about dangerous things.
Yeah, but she wants a specific event you saw in the newspaper.
I saw the newspaper. I seen a couple days ago. So, a man threw his 6-month-old son in the water in a frozen lake.
Oh my goodness.
I'm not saying about it.
Yeah, definitely. A lot of stuff on the news.
2 years ago.
Yeah, a lot of stuff on the news is kind of unfortunate. It's a lot of stuff that you don't want to happen. But there are some good stories too, because sometimes you hear stories about a school that sent all of its kids to college or something like that, and you can also write about those things. But there are lots of sad things on the news, and you can write poems. You can write about how you feel. You can write stories. You can come up with ideas from things and share your opinion, what you think about those things are happening. Learn. So I heard that you guys were learning about graphs in math class, and getting ideas from the things you learn about can be a great way of writing good stories. So what sign you learned last week? Let's start with math. We know graphs, so I'll put that down. Was there anything else you learned about math?
What else you do in math?
Fractions.
Graphs, fractions, okay. Graphs, fractions, and decimals. Wow, great. Okay, what about science?
What are you doing in science?
Landforms.
Landforms? Landforms, butterflies, and let's do one more thing.
Butterflies. I know the
Cells.
Okay, great. And what about history and or social studies?
Yeah, no.
History's like social studies.
I'll read the social studies.
Black History Month?
Black History Month? Okay, that sounds fun. So what do you learn about?
Martin Luther King, Rosa Parks. Martin Luther King, Rosa Parks. Jackson.
Okay, wow, that
Michael
sounds
Jackson.
fun.
Michael Jackson.
Okay, so you guys learned about a lot of people. You learned about Martin Luther King, you learned about Rosa Parks, you learned about Michael Jackson. That's cool. Okay, so Black History Month, so very interesting. Landforms, butterflies, cells, graphs, fractions, and decimals. So how could you maybe get an idea from one of these things for a story?
You can learn about it.
Well, let's say you could maybe look at some pictures of landforms or butterflies, let's say, and maybe you could think of an idea for a story about a big butterfly group and one butterfly gets lost and has to fend for itself or something like that. You write a story about that. So that might be an interesting kind of thing to write about. And think, when you're learning, how can I maybe turn this into a story? You could write from the perspective of someone who was fighting for civil rights, maybe. So yeah, there would be all kinds of things you could write about from what you learned. It's form opinion. So ask yourself, what do I think about this? It looks like this girl. What do you think her opinion is on what she's eating?
Angela.
She doesn't like it.
She doesn't like it, right? You can tell because she's plugging her nose. She's like that. Yeah, so definitely doesn't like it. But you can form opinion more than I don't like it, so I don't like that. You can be I disagree with this because and form your opinion. Show why you like something or why you don't. Tell. Once you have an idea for a story, you can tell it to someone that you know and see what they think. And then finally write, which brings me to what we're going to do right now. We are going to write a story of our own from one of those what-if questions. So, we're going to write the story together. And let me just head back to the what-if questions page, and we will vote on which one we want to write about. So the choices are, what if you could fly, have superhuman powers, if cartoons came to life, or cats chased dogs. So raise your hand if you want to vote for what if we could fly. Okay, raise your hand if you want to vote for having superhuman powers. Ooh, I see a law. Raise your hand if you want to vote for cartoons coming to life. Raise your hand if you want to vote for cats chasing dogs. Okay, yeah, actually even going beyond want superhuman powers is kind of pointless, but yeah, it looks like that is the clear majority. Now I wish I had superhuman powers. So first of all, what are superhuman powers? What would you say are superhuman powers?
Chad?
Punch walls down.
Let him say it.
I'll put like take down doors that's in the way and put walls down, have a view and a half on the screen. Whole wide world.
I still there's a big background noise that sometimes gets louder and brighter, and it kind of made what you were saying hard to hear.
Tip over cars.
Tip over
Tip
cars.
over cars, okay.
One person only talk.
And shoot out, beam out, crash.
Jacob? Turn invisible.
Turn invisible, invisibility, okay.
You still use it? Run sonic speed.
Run at sonic speed.
Run it.
You're talking, she hears that and not him. You're Asian?
Making people nightmares come true.
Oh man, that's kind of okay. But that sounds scary. This sounds like a super villain. Let's try to think of some good things.
Good things. Khalid?
You can break stuff with your head.
Do what?
Break stuff with your head.
Break through stuff with your head.
Yeah. So it would be like, right? I mean, kind of. Why do you want to do that? Like, okay, let me try this. No, actually, a lot of people already have this. I mean, watch this. See, look. I mean, the only person that hurts is me.
Now we can't hear her.
Yeah, no,
Angel?
Electricity out your head like static shock.
oh,
Shoot electricity out of your hands.
okay. I'm going to add flying, because I think that's a pretty solid power. Let's do one more.
Deshauna?
Yeah, laser vision. The
Laser, you mean like laser to shoot out your eyes? Okay. You know the thing with that though is that, like, let's say you have laser vision and laser can like burn through stuff, so you get up in the morning and you look at your mom, and if you accidentally starve your laser vision, then your mom will not be very happy if that goes out in the face. But yeah. So this is our list of superhuman powers. Now, who is our main character going to be?
Michael Jackson.
No.
Nate?
Michael Jackson.
No.
No, that's all
I'm Superman.
We have to make
Yeah.
something.
The Superwoman.
Alicia?
Superhuman.
Chad?
Wonder Woman. I got Wonder Woman.
People, we have to make something up. It can't be like Batman. It has to be something we've made up. So it could be like Mouse Man, but it couldn't be Batman.
Paul said super agent.
I said
I'm sorry.
Super
I
agent.
can't even hear Paul. What did you say? Triple H.
Triple H. Okay, Triple H.
Beat up someone that you never heard of, that you didn't really
Now, what if somebody you heard of?
Catman.
Why are more people talking, yelling at me? Mike.
Vegito?
What?
Vegito? Rocky?
And Vegito.
Dragon Ball Z.
Is that a character in Dragon Ball Z?
No.
That's his brother.
Can you help us out? We're having
Sure. Okay. I know that you guys really want like Batman and Wonder Woman. So let's come up with another animal. Let's not a bat or a spider. What's another like gross animal that Okay, Dragon Boy. Can Dragon Boy turn into a dragon when he wants to?
Yes, I said Dragon Boy, right?
Okay, great. So let's start writing. And what? Actually, one more thing. What is this setting? Where is this at?
In the morning.
Oh,
In the morning.
Okay. In the morning, where? Is it in the morning in New Jersey? Is it in the morning in the Sahara Desert? Is it in the morning where?
New Jersey. Where?
In the Empire State Building.
Chad?
Japan.
Japan.
Japan. Okay.
To the Empire State Building. Y'all see.
It was so funny. Like, I guess it just went on mute or something because 1 minute there's this like giant roar of speech and then it was really funny. Okay, Dragon Boy lives with his parents and little sister in what city in Japan? Let me take a look at the map that I have. Tokyo? Okay, that sounds fine. In Tokyo, Japan. He always wanted superpowers because he felt very limited by the basic human powers he had. No, Dragon Boy was not content with opposable thumbs and what is something else the humans have? Like opposable thumbs and
Fire, flame, and breath.
okay, yes, he gets his superpowers. But what is something that we just have as humans? As humans, like normal humans.
Can you repeat the question?
Sure.
please?
So, what is a power we just have as normal humans?
Jacob.
Legs.
What do you do with your legs?
Run.
Running.
And running legs. He wanted laser vision and what was another one of the superhuman powers? And invisibility. One day he went shopping with the rest of the family and saw a fountain. He had a penny in his hand that he had just picked up off the ground. So, you know, if you see a penny on the ground, you pick it up. And he thought, I might as well throw the penny in that fountain and wish for superhuman powers. So he threw the penny in, shut his eyes tight, and wished for superpowers with all his might. So that actually rhymes. Shut his eyes tight and wish for superpowers with all his might. His little sister walked up to him and said, "What'd you wish for? World peace?" He got an ashamed look on his face and shook his head. The next day, Dragon Boy's mom came to wake him up and tell him to go to school, as usual. He opened his eyes and looked around. So if you had laser vision, what do you think things would look like? Would they look kind of bright? Would they look...
His eyes were red.
Okay, so if you had laser vision, kind of be shooting out of as soon as he opened his eyes, his mom shrieked he realized that his eyes had turned into lasers. Or there was just a very bright, very sharp line of red light emerging from each one. Okay, so there's the first power. So what should the next power be that he gets? Tipping over cars, invisibility, running at sonic speed, making people's nightmares come true, breaking through stuff with your head, shoot electricity off your head, flying with laser vision.
Picking one of them. Sam? Picking one of the ones she just said.
Going sonic speed.
Going at sonic speed. Okay. Yeah! Dragon Boy shouted, a little afraid himself of his new laser vision. He ran out of the room and realized with a sinking feeling that he was simply not supposed to go that fast, and yet he had. In less than 2 seconds, he had already rushed out his room, through the hall, through the kitchen, through the dining room, through the living room, and out the door. And now he was rushing past houses, skyscrapers, the downtown section, and he couldn't stop. That was when he saw a giant truck barreling down his way. All right, there we go. So maybe remember this superpower he has to tip over cars that might come in handy now. So I'm going to read what we have so far. Okay, Dragon Boy lives with his parents and little sister in Tokyo, Japan. He always wanted superpowers because he felt very limited by the basic human powers he had. No, Dragon Boy was not content with opposable thumbs and running legs. He wanted laser vision and invisibility. One day, he went shopping with the rest of the family and saw a fountain. He had a penny in his hand that he had just picked up the ground, and he thought, I might as well throw the penny in that fountain and wish for superhuman powers. So he threw the penny in, shut his eyes tight, and wished for superpowers with all his might. His little sister walked up to him and said, "What did you wish for? World peace?" He got an ashamed look on his face and shook his head. The next day, Dragon Boy's mom came to wake him up and tell him to go to school as usual. He opened his eyes and looked around. As soon as he opened his eyes, his mom shrieked, jumped, and ran from the room. "What?" Dragon Boy asked, and got up and looked in the mirror. In the second he had before the mirror melted, he realized his eyes had turned into lasers. That where there was just a very bright, very sharp line of red light emerging from each one. "Ah!" Dragon Boy shouted, a little afraid himself of his new laser vision. He ran out of the room and realized with a sinking feeling he was simply not supposed to go that fast. And he had. In less than 2 seconds, he had already rushed out his room, through the hall, through the kitchen, through the dining room, through the living room, and out the door. And now he was rushing past houses, skyscrapers, the downtown section, and he couldn't stop. That was when he saw a giant truck barreling down his way. So, that ends what we have so far for Dragon Boy. What I'm going to do is post this on my blog. So my blog is at adorassweettalk.com. If you go to my website, you can also learn more about me, about my books. But for now, are there any questions you would like to ask?
You like writing stories a lot?
Do I like writing stories a lot? Oh yeah. If I didn't like writing stories, do you think I would be doing this every day?
How long you been writing books?
How long have I been writing books? I've been writing books for, well, let's see. I started writing with a pen and paper when I was 12. I'm sorry, 4. Now I'm 12. When I'm 12, that would be a little late. No, I started writing when I was 4, and now I'm 12, so you can do the math. I'm too lazy to.
Any other questions? If you could give us one tip to improve our writing, what would you tell us?
That's a good question. Well, I would say that practice makes perfect. Writing every day can really have an impact on your writing. When I first started out writing, when I was 4, my writing wasn't that great. It was kind of boring. I made a lot of spelling mistakes. And so write every day. Write about things that you see, about things that people tell you, about things you learn about, and it will help you get better and understand writing more. Another thing is share your writing with other people. So have your teacher read your writing, have your friends read your writing, have your mom and dad, or if you have some brothers and sisters, have them read your writing, and get suggestions from them. So practice makes perfect, and listen to suggestions from other people. Those were definitely some things out.
Do you have a question?
How many
I used to do that.
I just need to write down maybe the.com thing about her.
One more to Chad?
You signed your phone right?
She already answered that. She said, well, she writes every day. You think, would you do something every day if you didn't like it? No. Somebody already answered that. She answered. Who has a question that she didn't answer?
How many books do you think you've written in the last 4 years?
How many books do I think I've written over the last 4 years? Good question. Well, I have written over 400 short stories. I have published 2 books, Flying Fingers and Dancing Fingers, but the estimate is around 400 up.
Wow. That's she a writer.
That's impressive.
I got enough stuff.
Anyone?
I got enough stuff for that one.
And does the teacher have any other questions?
I think that's it. One more from Paul?
What's the names of the 2 books?
What are
Alright, well,
the
you know
names of
what?
2 books? I will show them to you. Now, I did headbutt them off onto the floor earlier, so I have to grab them. Okay, here we go. Dancing Fingers is my 2nd book. This is a book of poetry that I co-authored with my older sister, Adriana. So, Dancing Fingers. My 2nd book is called Flying Fingers, and Flying Fingers is a book of short stories. It is pretty thick, and it is a book of 9 short stories and tips on writing, and then Dancing Fingers is poetry. Well, thank you all very much. I really appreciate talking with you today, and I hope that your computer monitoring system doesn't have any further problems, and I look forward to seeing you guys again, and hope you all have a great day, and happy writing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.